Greetings and welcome aboard to the Heavy Metal Truckers, where we give our thoughts and perspectives on all things heavy, even if you don't like it. Frosty cannot be here with us right now, just because he's actually home for a 34-hour reset and he's having some fun. So it's just going to be the duo until I'll pull him in later, and then he'll give his perspective on things. But that being stated, we are doing the review on an album that I almost didn't expect that we would necessarily cover, even though we do say on all things heavy. This is kind of on the lighter side of things, so this will be interesting. And the album we are reviewing today is Mammoth's The End album. And for those that don't know, Mammoth is the son of Eddie Van Halen, which I did not intend to wear this shirt today, but it ended up happening, so that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Wolfgang, yep.
Yes, sir. All right, so I'll let you begin.
So, I've known about Wolfgang for a long time. Couldn't tell you exactly when I first heard about him, but it's been a long time. Mammoth, I've known of them, but I've never really listened to them. Matter of fact, I don't think before this I'd even heard one of their songs before. I've heard some of Wolfgang's other stuff, but...
So here's the funny part, just as a cut, and don't mean to do this, but I figured I'd let it known. For those that don't know, Mammoth, before Van Halen became a thing, Mammoth was actually the original name of Van Halen before they changed their name. I think, I don't remember why they ended up changing it. Might have been another group, I think, called Mammoth at the time, but so yeah, they changed their name, and then once Wolfie came on board, he asked, I think it was David, if he could say Mammoth Wolfgang Van Halen, and David said fine, or that's cool. And then he later came to him and was like, hey, do you mind if I just take the old name? And David had no issue, couldn't be happier, the way I understand it. So interesting little history tidbit there. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew this wasn't going to be like a heavy interface album, and it wasn't. It was a typical rock album.
We could say hard rock.
Yeah, you could say hard rock. But, it was interesting because you felt a lot of different elements in here, too.
You did.
There was definitely some punk elements in there.
Mm-hmm.
For example, which his voice actually fits punk pretty well, to be honest with you. So I'm surprised they even more. But anyway, so there were things I enjoyed about this album and songs that I enjoyed about this album, but then there was also issues I had with it.
I'm intrigued.
Now, the biggest issue I had on this album is I felt like, to an extent, and you may completely disagree with me, other people may completely disagree with me, it's just my ear listening to it in the truck on the way home.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs I felt like kind of followed the same formula. So, in a lot of ways, I felt like if you heard 2 or 3 songs from the album, you've almost kind of heard the whole thing, in a way.
They had a similar foundation.
Yeah. And there was even, I can't remember now, but I remember thinking it, there was something that, I don't remember what it is now. God, I can't remember. But there was something that I heard the same thing kind of in a couple of the songs. I can't remember what it is now for the life of me.
Mm-hmm.
And now that being said, that was probably my biggest gripe about the album, is that for me it needed more variety in it. It needed more, you know, than whatever you want to call it, than it had.
I'm really wondering if that's partially due to the speakers in the truck, because I know how those can typically sound.
Well, I'm listening on my headset, which your headset's not very perfect.
Oh yeah, no.
Or at least a Trigger headset ain't perfect anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing, but on a positive side, you know, I'm kind of surprised they're not more popular than they are, because almost everything in here was very catchy. I could have seen it being popular on the radio if they played it.
Oh yeah,
You know. So I'm kind of surprised they're not bigger than they are, because I could see a lot of different people enjoying this style music, whether it be rock fans or, like I said, even punk fan.
I have an idea as to why that is.
You know, he's got a decent voice. I wouldn't call it a great voice, but it's a decent voice. It's solid. It does what you need it to do within the music. It fits the music for the most part. You know, and now the guitars in there, especially when he got into the solos and all, were fantastic, but I wouldn't really expect anything different.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, those were fantastic. I can't really knock them. You know, I enjoyed those. There was one, let me go look at the track, because there was one song that I did really enjoy. Oh, look at the track listing, doesn't remind me. So, it was one of the later songs, I know that. I really enjoyed it. It might have been Selfish. But anyway.
There is one. We might have to cut out one of the requests today, because there is a video I want to check out, mainly because whenever I heard it, it was fascinating, and then he said something at the end, and I want to see who it was.
But, yeah, so it was kind of a mixed bag for me on this album, because it was really good for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, I'm surprised they're not bigger than they are. But for me, I felt like I needed a little more variety than what it had.
Yeah.
You know, like you say a lot of the times, it's not something I would probably really go actively listen to again. But if it was playing in the background, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, it was on the high end of decent, but not quite like really good. So I gave it a 6.75.
Alrighty. So, my history with Wolfgang, or Mammoth, I kind of mostly explained that already. How did I end up knowing Wolfgang? Well, if you can't tell by some of the stuff in my background here, I'm somewhat familiar with his father's work.
No, really? Look at the guitar in the background.
Well, not just that. If it hadn't been, especially that's picture I have up here, if his father hadn't been around, I don't think I'd have all those either, because his father was the one that got me into it. His father is the reason I got into rock in general. Just everything about his father left such a mark in my life. But I had heard Mammoth WV8 Wolfgang Van Halen's first album, and it was okay. I tried my damnedest to go in this without bias because of my history and just enjoying his father's work, and knowing that this is a spawn of arguably one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And for me, listening to this album, before I even really go into the more depth review, I will say that Wolfie, Jesus Christ, the fact that you were surrounded by one of the greatest guitarists of all time, one of the best damn bassists of all time, one of the best backing vocalists of all time. Hell, your uncle is one of the best drummers of all time. You were surrounded by one of the best, even though I'm not crazy about his vocals or even his lyrical content, because Roth annoys me. But you can't argue that he is one of the best frontmen that has ever existed. Like, David Lee Roth knows how to own the stage. There's no denying. So just him surrounded by all this talent, there was no reason that he couldn't pull off what he did. Like, it's no surprise. However, having had all those influences and his father being who he is, Wolfgang has stated numerous times, I think, that he wants his own identity separate from his father. And so I think that he went and just did everything himself. Any help that was offered to him, I think he declined. He wanted to do everything himself, and if people enjoyed it, great. He did not want people to enjoy what he does because he is his father's spawn. And that's been his biggest thing for a long time now. And I greatly respect and admire that. That being said, it was difficult to put biases aside, but I think I managed to. Mostly. So going into this, I knew this was not going to be a metal album. It just wasn't. But the first track, One of a Kind, holy crap, does that boy know how to write a catchy tune. It was just phenomenal for me. I was incredibly impressed. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, if this was written by someone else, would I enjoy it as much? Honestly, I don't think so. Just because, and it's not just because of who he is, but it's because of the talent that's there. For me, Wolfgang has an amazing voice. Like, because I'm also listening, I don't necessarily just, I'm assuming Doppler's kind of the same way, but for me, whenever I'm listening to vocals, can they stay on pitch? Do they have control of their voice, control of the breath for that? Even though I know with it being an album, like, they have all the time in the world to make like the corrections they need to. So that's another perspective that I got to keep in mind. But if someone's bad at what they do, then they can have as many takes in the studio as they want. Nothing's gonna fix it. So Wolfgang has an amazing voice for me. Some of the falsettos he hit in this transition were just fantastic. His guitar work is fantastic. As much as I hate to say it, the pop elements that are in this are what's needed for something to be catchy and for something to catch on and be an earworm. And One of a Kind was that for me. Then we go into the end. I watched the interview that Ola Englund had with Wolfie, and Wolfie even stated that this was one of the most difficult tracks that he worked on because once he wrote this and everything, he's like, this is amazing. Shit, and I gotta sing this while playing. And so he would literally be on the couch just doing this over and over and over and over and over until it became second nature to him, until he could potentially hold a conversation or just be like really into what's going on TV, but still doing that. And there was a moment, I think he stated like it was a week or two into doing this straight, that he finally went, holy shit, I think I can do this and sing at the same time. And so he was able to do it. But the end, I want to see the music video for this because in the music video there's a little scene where they want them to do something simple and soft, and he goes, do something simple. And so the intro for this is just his father just flowing through his fingers, like his father's influence, it feels like. and then just his technique, just absolutely amazing. All I can think of whenever I heard this was the live version of Eruption, and when they did Live Without a Net in Connecticut. That's all I could think of. But everything kind of after that was a good jam up until I Really Wanna, and that was an interesting one. Because I don't know if he's trying to use a new kid slang of... I still... Like, I get what it means to an extent, or I understand the context, but people say, yeah, I can fuck with that. I'm like, the hell are you talking about, dude? And, or it's like, is that your way of saying I like that, or I'm interested in that? I deal with this a lot. Like, people just have these lingos around me, and I don't understand half of it. So I don't know in what context necessarily he put this in, but I'm assuming he meant I'm interested in you. So based on the context of the lyrics, I guess I gotta go with that. He could mean literally. I mean, he is our age.
Yeah.
Happy was one I honestly didn't care for, but that's because it had so much grunge in it. And I am not a fan of grunge. I might have been years ago, but definitely not anymore. Better Off is a pretty good one. Actually, the rest of the album, even after that, was really well done. Everything just hit hard for me, as in, like, musically it was fantastic. Some of these things, like with what Doppler said, it sounded similar. I know it's going to, just because that's almost the foundation for modern rock, is everything's going to have the same foundation for it to sound catchy and for it to somewhat be catchy, and there's not a lot that's done with variation that I can tell, whereas there can be with metal. For those of you that are metalheads, you understand of how variation works within within material that's out there. I really also feel like that Wolfie had a lot of vocal influence from Chris Cornell in this, because there was a lot of moments that I felt like I heard so many of the same styles that Cornell had that I was hearing in this. So I'm wondering if he was partially influenced by Chris. But all in all, it's just, this was actually a fantastic album for me. But there's some things that I would have liked differently. Just some things that I personal bias, just didn't necessarily care for. But outside from that, it was an outstanding album. And honestly, I could see myself getting this album. So I can't believe I'm giving this to a rock album, but I honestly give it like an 8.5. It was fantastic, and I constantly listened to this album mainly because I was trying to get my car stereo since I got it replaced, I've been trying to get it honed into where I'm wanting it, and this was kind of the album I did it with, and it was just fantastic album for me. But we'll get to Frosty's. Alrighty, we are here with Frosty, and he is about to do his history. It won't be much of a history because it wasn't even for me, and perspective on the latest album from what is now Mammoth, previously known as Mammoth WVH, or Wolfgang von Halen.
Again, as per usual, my history with Mammoth is this channel. I'm very fond of woolly mammoths. They're pretty cool. Don't get to see a lot of them nowadays because, extinction and everything. But however, anyway, no. That's my experience with Mammoth. It's literally this album.
Manny, you did great in Ice Age.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Ray Romano. But anyway,
this is how we get 500 subscribers.
This is a daily conversation for the two of us.
Basically.
But anyway, so that's my experience with Mammoth is this album, and like I've stated in multiple videos at this point, that's usually how it's going to be on this channel. It's not because I don't like listening to metal music or anything like that. It's just
he's similar to me.
I don't
that he has a
particular things.
He has a particular scope of what he's interested in. The same with me. And then all of a sudden, hell, half the time it was Doppler that introduced me to stuff, and it was upon doing that we even kind of started this fucking channel and this whole ordeal. And so I pulled him in, and we decided to, continue.
Yep. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I listened, why I really wanted to kind of tag along on this channel is so it'll force me to go and listen to things that I wouldn't naturally like come across, or I wouldn't necessarily like give a thought to
against your will
at all. That too. That is also true. Being in the backseat of a car and just not being in control of the radio is definitely a way for me to listen to things.
You're welcome.
But anyway, my entire phone fell down. But yeah, no, that is my experience with Mammoth. This album is quite intriguing, actually. As the album started, I was like, oh, okay, so this kind of has like an older metal vibe to it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
kind of enjoying this. Yeah, I would definitely give it that. Like, it's not like full on metal.
No, it's
but
not
it
metal
definitely
at all,
had more of a hard rock vibe to it.
Not to cut in, but Wolfie's favorite band is a metal group known as Meshuggah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
I've heard of them. Never listened to them.
You're not missing much. But I'm gonna get so much hate for that.
I bet. But yeah, no. So as the album progressed onward and onward, I quickly realized it was mostly hard rock, and I'm like, I don't have a problem with this. It just kind of gave off that, kind of jam session thing. It almost felt more like a 90s hard rock group than, like something more modern or whatever. But I really didn't have a problem with it. It was enjoyable to listen to. It was quite intriguing. I'd be intrigued to hear more from the band. So, I mean, it definitely grasped my attention enough to, warrant an interest in listening to some more.
Knowing his discography, I didn't listen to the second record, but this is the better out of all the records that I'm aware of.
Okay. But yeah, no, I would definitely have I definitely have an interest in listening to more from them, just to kind of see what else they've got going.
I will say, if you decide, there is one track that if you decide to listen to, I Cannot Be Arraigned. No, and I say that because I cannot have a dry eye every single time I hear it, and it was the track that Wolfie wrote for his father.
Oh, I understand why.
Yeah, I can't listen to it.
That's that. I don't even have to listen to it to understand why. But
it doesn't help that he includes the ending or a voicemail from his father at the end.
Yeah, no, that would really hurt. But yeah, overall, it was one of the albums that I actually enjoyed listening to for homework. I think I gave this album a 7 after it had come to its completion. It wasn't something that I would listen to on like a daily basis, but it was definitely something that was quite enjoyable to listen to. throw it on in the background, listen to it that way. It's like I said, it's not something I would go out and actively buy either, but
Yeah, no, I got you.
definitely enjoyed it. I definitely caught the older aspects to it and everything, and again, just all around an intriguing album.
So the funny thing regarding this album, the title track, The End, I think it was actually the second track on the album where he's doing those really intricate guitar parts. The funny thing about that is he was in an interview with Ola, funny enough, or Ola, and he actually said about once he figured out how to play it, and he goes, oh shit, and I gotta sing this too. I gotta sing while I play this. Oh fuck. And so he said that he sat on the couch watching stuff for 2 weeks, just playing that section over and over and over until he got comfortable enough to where he could hold a conversation while playing that. And then he eventually went, holy shit, I can sing and play this at the same time. But it took him 2 weeks of practicing that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that would be my my take on the album.
Nice. And for those that I probably pissed off regarding Meshuggah, I will say they're not a bad group. I just don't care for them because I hate Jen. But that's the only reason. But anyways, guys, that was Frosty's take on Mammoth's latest album, The End. And we will get to the end of the video. Yeah, guys, that was it for me, for us. I'm glad you could be here. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any opposition, please fight us in the comments. Until next time, whether musically, lyrically, or literally, keep rolling heavy.